Hello and welcome. Today we're going to take another look at what the Chinese factories are pumping out and putting Gibson logos and even the Made in America stamp. Very controversial, these Gibson knockoffs or Chibsons. I've had maybe 4 or 5 of them in my hands and owned at one time. I still have that last gold top. I like to kind of keep tabs on how they're doing quality-wise, and I know I keep saying this, but they do keep getting better. They really do. The craftsmanship, the wood and the bones for sure are all pretty good quality for the most part. The routing is getting better. Not a lot of mishaps. They're getting more accurate with their CNC and things. It's just a testament to continuous improvement on these things. And say what you will about them. People love to upgrade these things, put in great pickups, maybe rewire everything. And there's merit to that, I think, to a degree. As long as you have a good set neck with a good neck angle, you're in good shape. And this is a Green Widow Les Paul Custom. And even the truss rod covers are getting better. That is not a perfect font by any means as far as being exactly like Gibson, nor is the Perloid headstock inlay there. You can see it's kind of crooked, and I'm going to compare it to my 74 Custom because that's the only Custom I have. But we'll do a little side-by-side on that. But this thing is really, really pretty, and it was set up pretty good. I got it from a guy on Reverb, and they got a music shop somewhere. I can't remember where it was. It took over 3 weeks for the United States Postal Service to get this delivered to my house. It was ridiculous. Man, I hate USPS for that kind of crap. But anyway, it did arrive, and it arrived safely. So I'm just check. I took those stickers off the back here. I thought I had another picture of that. But anyway, the fake Grovers are definitely not real Grovers, and they're pretty rough. They're all pretty rough. I'll see if I can adjust them a little bit. And the serial number, font, the way that it's colored in, that just isn't right. Now, to the untrained eye, or if you're just holding this up on its own, not comparing it or not being really in the know, it's pretty damn convincing. One of the other things that's a telltale sign is the screws that hold in the back plates and the screws that hold in the pickups on the pickup rings. They're all too big. They're all way bigger than what Gibson would use. Still, though, you know, a lot of people are going to say, well, I'm not trying to pass it off as a Gibson. I mean, it does say Gibson on the headstock, and it does say Made in the USA. I don't know. You know, you can't really argue that, right? It's not that. So the binding is pretty good on this. They did a good job with the green clear coat over the whole body. I think it looks pretty good. Kind of reminds me of the Slash Anaconda Les Paul or some of the Widows. I did see that there was a Green Widow, a Green Gibson, actual Gibson Widow. But yes, check those screws out. They're just way too big. So here it is next to my real Les Paul Custom. And it's pretty convincing. The poker chip is off on the three-way selector. The nut they use on the three-way selector is off. The inlays, this is a 74, mind you, but this guitar, the bottom one, my Custom, it was re-necked by Gibson. I have a video in my history or in my playlist on that if you want to check it out. They did a really great job. And yeah, we're comparing it to the 70s bigger headstock there. But still, you kind of get the gist of it. They do a pretty good job with it. The volume is a little lower, and that The spacing on the controls is a little different. This is what I was talking about that inlay. You see how it doesn't go down far enough. It's not quite wide and fat enough. And on the upper right quadrant of the Chibson, you can see it's not quite straight. It's a little misaligned. As well as the logo, it sits, it's pretty close on this one actually. But this is a different era too. This Gibson on the left has the dot over the I. So this is my 74 headstock, and you can see the truss rod cover is quite a bit different than the other one, and the inlays are quite beautiful. This has the waffle back Clouson tuners, and they're really sweet. I just love that guitar. It's got a great history. A lot of friends and friends of friends have owned it, and it's gone back and forth. Just a great guitar. But anyway, we're not talking about my 74 Custom. We're talking about this Chibson Les Paul. I don't know if there's a way to identify what year these were made. I really don't think you can. This is pretty new, so I'm going to say it probably came out was made in the last year or so. And as I said, those Grovers are like really bad pop metal, and they don't feel like good quality. They're not using great quality for the electronics and the hardware, folks. That's just the way that it is. But the wood is pretty solid. The pickup cavity is pretty good. It's got a lot of buffing compound inside. I had to kind of blow that out as well as I could. And you can see the back of that pickup. It's not a quality pickup. Frankly, these sound pretty good. They're pretty low output. And I thought they sounded pretty good. I'll probably swap them out because I think I'm going to keep this guitar. Here's a better shot. And you can kind of see where the maple cap, the maple cap on this is really thick. I mean, it's at least as thick as a Gibson. At first I thought maybe there was a veneer of some kind for the top, but you can see the flaminess in it, not as much as I would expect. I'm not ruling out a veneer, but it seems like that's a solid maple cap. You'll see it probably better in this next. Yeah, you see there you go. Down at the bottom, you can see where the mahogany starts and the maple stops or starts, or whatever you want to say. And I've never seen this before. There's some kind of Chinese hieroglyph marking here in the rear pickup cavity. Somebody tell me what that says, please. I'm not wanting to look it up with Google right now. Maybe I will do that and put it in the comments. But I was talking to my friend Brett about how do you know which factory these things came out of. I think it would be neat to know what Chinese factory made these, and then, kind of just track quality. That's a great view of the maple cap. You see where it gets dark there in the pickup cavity between the light top and then the dark mahogany. It's a really good way of knowing how big that maple cap is. And like I said, the routes are pretty damn clean. I've seen worse routes on some Gibson guitars. I mean, their tooling gets old and they forget to change blades or whatever. So here's a better shot of these Chinese pickups. They're definitely nothing special, but I mean, what is it? It's just wires. It's just a coil with some magnets. So how much greater or worse can it be from the next? This three-way, the route is pretty good. It's a little more of an oval than a perfect circle. And these three-way switches are nothing to write home about. Again, they're loading these up with the cheapest parts, probably possible. If they really wanted to go full quality, they could put some really nice American parts in this thing, and it would still be a great value. It's definitely not a Switchcraft, and the wiring is probably not as good a quality. And you can see for sure that the potentiometers are like teeny tiny dime size potentiometers. They work perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with them. I think you'll get a better quality, a better spectrum of feel between 0 and 10 if you have some proper CTS pots. But, I mean, look, there's room for them. So if you want to go all out on these things, go all out, you can certainly do that and say, look, this is as good as a Les Paul or whatever you want to say. The routing cavity here, the routing on the cavity is a little rougher in this area, and they've got conductive paint sort of half-assed sprayed in there, I guess. That's not really, I don't know what to make of that. But yeah, it's a pretty cool guitar. It actually plays well. I'm going to show the truss rod because it was backbowed. And these don't have the acorn nut truss rods, right? These are actually double action truss rods. So I was able to go back into the fully loosened position and start fixing that back bow. I was thankful for that. That is something that China does that Gibson doesn't, so props on that. Well, I hope you're enjoying this video. I'll play it with an amplifier on my next amp vid and you can hear it. Thanks for stopping by. Take care now. Bye-bye.